I'd like to call to order this Thompson Cedar Lake Planning Commission public meeting, January 20th, 2021 at 7:07 p.m. Everyone please stand for the flag. The Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Carnahan.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Present. Scott Becker.
Here.
Don Pecora.
Present.
John Foreman.
Present.
Richard Sharp.
Here.
Gary Wilkening.
Here.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
Don Oliphant.
Here.
David Austin.
Ryan Deutmeyer here on his behalf.
Jim Kubiak.
Here.
And I'm
All right. We have no minutes to approve, so we'll get right to old business. Hanover Community School, Hanover Community Middle School, one lot subdivision rezone, PUD amendment. Owner petitioner Hanover Community School Corporation, 9520 West 133rd. Legal description, middle school subdivision lot 1. Petitioner is requesting a rezone from agricultural zoning district to community business planned unit development zoning district and a planned unit development amendment. Hello, Mr. Tringa.
Good evening. Don Toringa with Toringa Engineering. Dion Katsouris is also here with Skillman. And also Adam McAlpine, who is the assistant, who is helping me with the engineering design. Anyway, what we are here this evening requesting is exactly what you said. We are requesting a planned unit development and the approval of the Hanover Elementary Middle School campus. I've been through pretty much everything on this numerous times. The only thing that I can think of is one of the requirements that was mentioned in the latest review was for a sidewalk along US 41 for the entire length of the property. We had some discussions, actually Dion had some discussions with Mr. Everly. And what we would like to do is we would like to ask for a waiver on that, or if that is not acceptable, post a bond for the construction of that sidewalk in the future, if and when the area becomes developed and it becomes necessary.
Okay. Don, you pretty well worked through these engineering comments. Don to Don.
We just received the resubmittal at 3. I glanced at everything for the meeting. Obviously, I think engineering wise, I think we're okay. Don probably brought up the biggest hanger, maybe that sidewalk waiver. If you so choose to go that direction. I don't think there's anything left on here that we can't work through. There likely will be a few things we're gonna have to get through, but nothing major that'll change anything significant.
Okay.
I got a comment, and since Dave's not here, I'm gonna ask Ryan. Dave told me that their planned unit development contract wasn't in order. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, my understanding is Dave received the initial draft of that today at about 12:30. Obviously has not had time to check off on that. And I believe Mr. Wilkening and maybe some other town officials have received Dave's opinion letter as to what his preferred action is for this evening's meeting.
Yeah, and I have that here, and I will, I'll just read it out loud. Dear everyone, enclosed, please find the documentation I received just after lunch today from Hanover Central School Corporation representatives, and specifically project engineer Don Toringa. Inclusive of the documents is a proposed or draft PUD project contract. As this has just been received, it is not able to be reviewed appropriately for comment for any other reason. As such, it should be noted that a draft contract has been provided but requires review. I recommend a deferral of this matter as a consequence of late receipt of this document. If there are any questions, please advise. Otherwise, I trust the foregoing and attached are self-explanatory. Thank you, Austin, Kuiper, and Josias. Dave Austin. All these things are Yeah, I'm glad.
I would like, if we do a deferral on this, to do it for the first Wednesday in February and do it as a special meeting form. So I don't want to see the school delayed any more than necessary.
Yeah, I don't totally want to jump to that quite yet because I don't know how much correction Mr. Ocean may have to do. The attorney who originally drew up what was submitted today, I don't know how much back and forth there's going to be. We know what a PUD looks like with a lot of red marks on it because we just saw one. So I'm not sure that without Mr. Austin's, opinion about whether this is doable in 2 weeks, I'm not sure.
Well, we could go ahead and do it in 2 weeks, and if it's not ready, then defer it again for 2 weeks.
Well, does anybody else up here have a thought on this item right now?
Yeah, I don't want a special meeting. Let them get their ducks in a row and get it to us in a timely manner so we can go ahead and do what we have to do. Why should we defer for them because they got it to us 7 hours ago?
But they were just told 2 weeks ago that they needed a contract. They were never told that before.
Not my problem.
That's our problem.
Well, this all, there was no surprise that there needed to be a PUD contract and an amendment from what was there before. And I'm not sure who should have known that, but obviously this last minute stuff is troublesome. And it seems as though, Don, correct me if I'm wrong, all these things are all attached. So voting on anything from the school would not be appropriate.
You can't have a site plan preliminary plat approval without your zoning.
Without the PUD?
Yeah.
They're not separate.
And they're all part of the ultimate ordinance as well.
Yeah.
So the site plan, the plat, all that stuff is going to be attached and incorporated into the ordinance.
Okay. This was going so well too.
Let's start.
Mr. President,
yeah.
Dion
Yes,
Wisconsin,
yeah.
if I may, is the option available to at least put the meeting on the agenda and then cancel if required? I'm requesting that because the school's attorney, either through correspondence or conversation with Mr. Austin earlier this afternoon, Mr. Austin indicated the piece regarding the ordinance needing to be drafted. It wasn't a matter of the school's attorney dragging their feet. They just needed to get their real estate attorney involved. I advised them immediately after the meeting 2 weeks ago. They started drafting up all the paperwork, the 5 or 6 page document. They got all the required documents from Mr. Taranga's team. And again, it wasn't a delay intentionally. The reason I'm requesting at least to consider a special meeting, or at least considering putting it on agenda for 2 weeks from now, is based on the timeline. The project is on the street right now. Scheduled to receive bids on February 9th. Then we're going to go to the board to approve the bids, but obviously we cannot proceed with any construction until, 2 things, obviously. The building permits get secured and we get approval on all the PUD requirements.
Okay. I think everybody understands their circumstances.
If I might add something to that
Certainly.
also.
Certainly.
What was turned in today was what, a page and a half? Is that correct? Have you seen it?
I didn't get it. In fact,
I-
my understanding is Dave only got it by and through Don forwarding on. It was somebody forwarded. Was it you that forwarded on?
I
Somebody
forwarded
that down.
I knew it was a
As
Don.
soon as I got it, I forwarded it.
So he wasn't even
So-
included on the original spring, so I don't know.
And that's what I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak for Mr. Austin in
But
any way, shape or form.
Matt, please, the planned unit development documents themselves,
Mhm.
I got to Dave and I got to Don a long, long time ago. Along with all of the papers, the sheets, the plans. So the only thing missing was this page and a half. And your ordinance doesn't really read, at least the way that I saw it, that was even a requirement. And we were not notified until the meeting 2 weeks ago that we needed to do that. So
Well, this is the PUD contract, right?
Yeah, PUD is by law, it's a contract.
Yeah.
Right? That's what the document is.
And it was, I mean, it was mentioned several times, but I think Mr. Oshin said it and you listened to it, but not realizing, you know, I mean, I know it was brought up, it was mentioned, the PUD contract.
It was mentioned, Tim, I agree. Yeah,
But,
I've heard, yes.
I mean, I guess,
Heard
at
that
the
from 2 weeks ago.
end of the day, I mean,
Should be
all this
known.
talk about
Yeah.
Formerly
we didn't
PUD.
have any discussion about the sidewalk.
It's formerly a PUD.
And Don's notes, if you look at number 3, that crossover median is only 16 feet wide between north and southbound traffic lights. US 41 seems like a grander topic of discussion that looks like it should be worked out prior to worrying about a meeting approval, I guess.
Well, that's ultimately an NDOT.
Huh?
It's ultimately an NDOT decision. It's more of a recommendation from us. It's their jurisdiction.
It's their
Their jurisdiction.
decision.
Their jurisdiction.
Yes. That does seem like a dangerous sentence that you just said there.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at the comment, I kind of see the concern. I mean, and then the sidewalk that was discussed right off the bat, I mean, where would that sidewalk be proposed to be located?
Probably right behind the right-of-way line. I mean, for interest of comparison, Birchwood, granted their frontage is substantially smaller. They essentially have very small right-of-way, widths, but they're required to do the same thing. And that's 2 years ago.
I was thinking if there was a sidewalk, it should be way closer to the administration building than ever.
Well, I mean, they have
ever
interior
41.
walks. They have interior walks throughout the entire
Okay.
complex. It's more of just a, ordinance requirement for any kind of
For
public
sidewalk.
frontages. But I get it too. It's not connecting to anything, but that also is a very large frontage. And if you do annex down further, you're going to want sidewalk there at some point.
What does everybody feel about Mr. Tringa said about posting a bond for a future sidewalk?
Well, for one, I think we should defer this till the 17th and use the work session to work out all the wrinkles and have legal look at everything, Don's comments. I mean, it's the responsible thing to do. Otherwise, we're gonna have to advertise for a public meeting, special public meeting and everything else. I think the responsible thing to do is work through everything out through the work session and then, delay it till the 17th.
Okay. Are there any other waivers, Mr. Oliphant, other than the sidewalk at this point?
No, not that I'm aware of. I mean, the glory of being PUD too, you can put some of that language into the PUD itself. So I mean, I imagine if that's granted, that would actually part of the PUD language as it being a specific waiver from your current requirements. It's kind of what they did with the parking lot. Parking spaces reduced and all that. That's noted in the language we have now.
Ryan, any final thoughts?
I think Dave's letter speaks for itself, and it takes time to review those things. And granted, I haven't looked at the document. That's Dave's forte, not mine. So whether you make it the study session, a special meeting, or the 17th, that's totally up to you. But I don't think there's certainly no way that we would recommend any action other than a deferral tonight.
Right. Hey, Jerry.
Yes, John.
Yeah. Hey, Bob. I sort of agree with you. I think maybe if we penciled something in as a possible special public meeting at the next and defer to the next work, before the work session and or after. And in addition to that comment, with them wanting to do a bond or something for the sidewalks, that's kind of in line with what we've been discussing for future, people that are building future houses and things. So putting it into some kind of a fund, to capture those costs and use them where the town finds it most dire at the moment or time. So, I think both of those are achievable and not really that far out of line.
Yeah, I totally get what you and Bob are saying, but I do know this is a meeting. So working through sidewalk waivers and all these things at the last minute, I'm not not real
Yeah,
work.
but if we defer it, they both get deferred to 2 weeks from now. That's all I'm saying.
Do we have a formula for the sidewalk yet?
The fee in lieu of.
Yeah, I thought we we're still working on that.
We're still working on it, but if they're volunteering to put up a bond to do it at a later date, it's almost similar to what we're trying to work on. That's all I'm getting at.
Okay, John. All right, Mr. Sharp, any thoughts?
I agree with Bob and John. If we could get a special public meeting in 2 weeks, just so the school can keep moving. But if it's not going to happen, then we'll just cancel that and it'll be in 2 weeks at February, whenever it is, 17th.
But how are we gonna work through all the other issues
I don't
before
know,
that?
Don said there's not that many other issues.
I mean, regarding the sidewalk specifically, we can obviously come to a number based on the linear footage, and similar to what John's saying about the fee in lieu of program we're working on now. It'd be something similar to that. If it's cash payment that gets put into escrow, or if it's an actual letter of credit, that can be worked out. I mean, we know the frontage length, it's pretty obvious what it is, and we can set a dollar amount.
Or are we gonna find this out
Huh?
beforehand, or are we gonna wait until the meeting starts and then,
No,
there you go.
I can
And then
have
we have to
that.
approve it. That's how it's been.
You're reading my mind. If any of this stuff, if there is a special public meeting in 2 weeks, we need all these answers. We're having a meeting.
That's an easy
This
answer.
is what it is, and now's not the great time to work through it in a meeting.
That's an
So-
easy answer. It's more of what do you want the mechanism to be? It's a policy legal call. Do you want it as cash in an escrow? Do you want it as letter of credit? We don't really do bonds
When
anymore.
we did Strax, they had, David drafted up an agreement for Strax to pay and install the sidewalks at the time that we have made improvements to Parish Avenue or whatever to convey sidewalk
Yeah, or that
traffic. And that-
legal
that is
document that
something
memorializes it.
I mean, right, I kind of like that better because when you put in sidewalks and, you know, saying where they're gonna be as far as redoing 41 and elevation and distance and, you know, fluidity through the corridor there, I would rather an agreement with the school be made such as like that one with Strax. So when, I mean, they're looking to annex a property to the south, and at that time, that could be at any time, that connectivity could be as soon as within a year.
And Tim's idea, we wouldn't have to be concerned about what it costs at the time.
Exactly. That too.
It would just be.
That's
they would
good,
be in
yeah.
charge of putting them in, just like, I know that David drafted up a document for Strax of that nature, what exactly it said, I know that we have it. So
Okay.
I think something along those lines would be, you know, covering all of your guys' concerns, and then also making sure that when we're ready for the sidewalks at the bill, that it goes to the school to put them in, and then as long as they agree to that, that'd be good.
Can I ask?
Okay, certainly.
I'm sorry, can I ask a question? So real specific to the sidewalk, the preference A, and I don't know who this is directed to, Don, if it's you, Mr. President, if it's you, the preferred method would be to ask for a waiver, then if that's not an option, then the bond. Because, you know, we also have to realize here, and I understand, I mean, if the sidewalk is needed for down the road because of future development, totally understand that. But rough order of magnitude, that entire length, I mean, you're talking $75,000 to $100,000 in sidewalk, which again, directly is gonna impact taxpayers one way or another. That could potentially go into classroom spaces, I mean, is how I look at it, but I guess I'm
It's
just.
about 1,300 feet, I believe is what the frontage is, not including the entrance. So there's your number.
All right, well, I guess it's gonna turn into a bit of a work session. Who's it?
I'll make a motion.
Who would consider making a motion on a favorable waiver?
Jerry?
Yeah.
Maybe Heather hasn't had an opportunity to speak on this.
I mean, I'm kind of split in the
We-
middle of
We've,
everyone.
we've looked at each other many times, so we're good. Thanks, Bob.
I'm kind of split in half with it. I understand the sense of urgency, but, you know, we also can't hustle through a decision at this point because everything came in late. I think there's probably stuff to talk about still at a work session. I mean, I'm fine putting it on the agenda, but I don't think we're going to be in a position to vote in 2 weeks.
I'm not really in favor of a waiver
For the
for
sidewalk.
the sidewalk. That's why I guess we're gonna hash this out now.
So I'm with you on that.
Okay.
I agree too. I don't want to waiver, but what Tim said kind of sounds good. I mean, and we can go along with that, you know, because then we're guaranteed a sidewalk when it becomes necessary to have one. If it isn't necessary to have one now, there's no sense in spending the dollars as I see it. So, but
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to waiver the sidewalk.
I agree with you, John. I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to defer this to a special meeting in 2 weeks.
February 3rd.
Hold the thought. We're in a deferral situation, number one. I'm not gathering that a waiver is going to be, or sidewalk's going to be, we voted on favorably. But I would like to say, if there's a unanimous decision or a favorable decision about the special meeting in 2 weeks, we're not, I don't want to go over this again.
Yeah. No, I
All
don't
this
either.
stuff. Everything needs to be done. Let's have it all good, lined up.
I understand, and I think to clarify Don's comments, the only new information that Mr. Austin has, the only new information is,
I think
I get it, he just got it this afternoon, it's 2 pages.
I understand.
That's the additional review. All of the other backup that was submitted, he's had since December 2nd or 16th, whenever that meeting was.
And that works both ways. The clarity of this for you guys, to us, has been since December also, not really in 2 weeks. And as Tim said, Mr. Austin has mentioned this several times in
He has,
casualness.
yeah.
So I mean, you know, we're
But this is where we are.
this is where we are today. So, Mr. Carnahan,
Motion to defer and have a special meeting in 2 weeks.
would anybody like to second Bob's motion?
Does that mean if they figure out beforehand that they're gonna cancel the special meeting or still show up for?
We could have a work session then if we need a work session, right?
Right.
Yes, that's what that means then, Heather. Yeah. I'll second Bob's motion so we can,
Okay, we have a motion to defer this item to the special public meeting that has to be created, the work session in 2 weeks. Motion by Mr. Carnahan. Mr. Kubiak, one last
I
thought?
mean, if you guys are okay with the agreement that you just talked about for the future, then maybe you can include in your motion to have Mr. Austin prepare that so the school can agree to, you know, the terms of constructing the Van Til agreement to install the sidewalk at such time when
Well,
the pedestrian way is installed.
yeah,
We can make
I was
that
hoping,
decision at the
well,
next meeting.
I was hoping that my point to them about everything is done, totally clear.
We just
was-
found
was-
out about the
But
sidewalk.
I mean, if everybody's good with that up here,
Yeah.
then at least that'll
Okay.
be another.
All right, Mr. Carnahan, would you like to amend your motion?
I just want to defer and have a special meeting, and then we make that decision at the special meeting.
Okay, we have a motion by Bob, we have a second by
Second.
Mr. Sharp.
yeah.
Roll call, please.
Heather Bethauer,
Yes.
Chuck Becker,
No,
John Foreman,
Yes.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
Yes,
John Cora,
Yes,
Gary Wilkie,
Yes. Okay. Looks like the special meeting is going to take place.
Like technically you need a second vote.
do we?
There are 2 items on there.
Oh, yep.
Oh,
sorry.
for each, for, when we.
Okay, I always miss that. The second request by the same petitioner is requesting preliminary plat for 1-lot subdivision. Would anybody like to make a motion that we defer this to 2 weeks?
I'll do the same, and handle it in the special meeting.
A motion by Mr. Carnahan,
Second,
second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Heather Bethauer,
Yes.
Chuck Becker,
no,
John Foreman,
Yes.
Robert Carnahan,
Yes.
Richard Sharp,
yes.
John Cora,
yes.
Gary Wilkie.
Yes. Motion carries. All right, well, I guess, again, let's, everybody see if they can't get get this dialed in.
Yeah, just talk and so we can, yes, absolutely.
Okay, I guess we'll skip to new business, Hanover Community School, Hanover Community High School site plan. Hanover Community School Corporation, 10120, 133rd Avenue, Cedar Lake, vicinity 10120, legal description, Hanover Central Campus subdivision, lot 1, exterior field house and special gym parcel. Petitioner is requesting a site plan. Is this the handout, Mr. Tringa?
Yes, it is.
All right, thank you.
What I handed out is 3 pages. The first page I presented at the last meeting. What you see is a 176 car parking lot, a soccer field, softball field, baseball field, and football practice field. In addition to a new parking lot all the way on the east side for the baseball field. A sidewalk that runs from the baseball field all the way across the property. And then a sidewalk on the west side of the football field. Are there any questions regarding any of that?
Just real quick, Mr. Oliphant, there's no stormwater issues with any of this so far?
No, that was kind of mostly vetted during our review like 5 years ago.
Okay.
There's some minor changes to it, which the comments are really just minor and discrepancy based.
The parking lot to the east, that's gravel now.
They're actually expanding the library detention basin minimally to make up for that
Okay.
coverage.
It is gravel. It's gravel and grass.
Anybody have any questions about the first part of this?
No.
Anyone? Okay.
No, sir.
If you flip to the second page, you see what the building that is being proposed, and the third page is what the interior of the building is. It's effectively locker rooms for the athletic facility. There's a small maintenance building and a small storage area along with a concessions stand that could be what's on the back side of the building. They also have JMA put together pictures of what it will look like from all sides, but I didn't think that that was necessary at this point.
So this building that we're looking at here is on the first page between the north side of that road. Like that.
Correct. It is immediately east of the football field and north of the road.
Okay.
Okay.
And there's room for that, and there'll be room for that because the bus parking is
Right now, it's a
leaving.
gravel area, yes, for bus parking.
Okay. All right. Mr. Oliphant?
We issued a letter yesterday morning. Some of the highlights, they'll be required. It's my anticipation that they'll be doing 2 waivers that were approved 5 years ago. They just need to be reapplied for since it's a different application. One would be the drain tile survey. Second one would be the offset from their detention basin along 133rd. They are providing fencing, which we need to get those details first, and then we're okay with the offset since it's such a large right of way. We recommended that the footprint slightly shifted a little bit so it's not right up against the sidewalk, which I don't think should be a problem to shift it. But those were waivers that were granted 5 years ago. And then we had a question about the survey. So this frontage where the athletic fields are located is kind of part within phase 1 and phase 2 of 133rd. It was our understanding that all that right away was dedicated as part of that project, but they're showing their ALTA survey. It actually still extends out to the center line. So that's something we kind of have to figure out.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure on that because I'm not a surveyor.
Yeah, and we may be able to help Stuart out on that one if he's looking at it, because there should be some acquisition documents from those 2 NDOT parcels, the projects.
I think that was brought up.
Yeah, we brought that up 2 weeks
Before, 2 weeks ago.
ago. We looked back at the plans after that meeting, and it's dedicated on the plans. I'm not saying that's exactly how it went down or if something wasn't recorded or whatnot, but that needs to be cleaned up. Those are the big ticket items. A lot of the other items on there, we got this right before the prior meeting, so we're still kind of getting into engineering a little bit, but a lot of the comments on here are minor in nature.
The MS4 is $1,500.
Yep.
In response to, may I?
Sure.
In response to what Mr. Oliphant said in regards to the fence, we received that information from JMA Architects today. It's a decorative fence, and we will be forwarding that on to the town along, and we have made an application to the Board of Zoning Appeals as we were requested to do for the variance on that. So it's not a chain link fence. It's a very nice looking fence. So,
And this fence is going along 133rd.
Yes.
correct.
Essentially right at where their basin starts going down. Provided some separation. I mean, it's a wider right of way as it is, so the offset's bigger. But if they follow the ordinance strictly, they have to go full right of way without.
Right.
And I think 133rd is 80 feet.
It's
or-
80 feet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is kind of the width of their basin. So
Is the fence around the parking lot to the north? What is that going to be?
That's one thing that was mentioned in your letter. That is intended to be a chain link fence.
Okay. And Wildwood is not going through.
No.
the parking lot's actually reduced by, I think, 100 spaces since the initial application. I think there were 270 spaces back in 16. I think it's down to
It's 176.
170 now. So it actually extended further north towards that Wildwood extension. So they've cut it in by 100 spaces.
Not being the super sports fan, as some of you might know, is the baseball field here by 133rd, is there going to be a net
There
of
is.
some kind that's going to take care of
I
the
believe
potential
there.
problems?
I believe there is. It's
If you-
showing on there. I'm not sure
Yes.
the dimensions.
If you
of
see
it.
that little dotted line,
Yeah.
that's a netting.
Oh, that's
What is that
okay.
going to look like?
Good question.
It will be a mesh net.
I'm
But it'll be up
guessing-
all the time.
It could, I'm not exactly sure, but I would think it could be something, could be raised and lowered. I know they have that at Munster High School.
I think they have a similar netting on the backside of the soccer field
That
to the
could be-
east of the football field. I think they have a netting on the north side up here right now, or they used to. Yeah, you can see it.
Yes.
It's probably 20 feet tall. It's almost, if you've been to a driving rank, the net's on the side. I'm
Yeah.
betting it's something to be
Just to
similar like
watch.
that. Huh?
Just to watch.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be something similar to this. We can get details on it. Is architect doing that too, I'm guessing?
Yes.
If you want to provide details, that would be helpful. And they got another one down here too. I imagine it's going to be something similar to that.
Okay, so this is being worked through. Do you have any details on the lighting or anything
We
else done?
had kind of a bulk lighting, well, we had 3 lighting comments. We got a bunch of generic cut sheets, so we wanted to be more specific to what actually is going to be out there. Same with lighting heights and everything. So we did get a photometric plan, but the cut sheets weren't specific to what they want.
And I did speak with Millie's, who did the same thing for Hanover Elementary School, so they're on board. We did not realize that they were even the MEPs on this project, because we were not made aware of that, so.
Gotcha.
You said
They are doing-
Millie's did who, where?
They did this
Elementary.
project, the Hanover, not the one that I had up there previous, the elementary.
You mean the middle school?
Yeah.
Yes, I call it both.
Okay, all right. Because the lighting at the elementary school is, we don't talk about that.
It's a different company.
What?
It's off base, talk about.
Okay,
Anyway, what I was leading to is that Millie's is the mechanical engineers on this. They're going to put together a plan that is acceptable to Don, the same as they did at the middle school.
well, the middle school looks good.
Mhm.
It looks good. Okay. I guess. Does anybody have any questions? Heather,
No,
Chuck,
sir.
John? All right.
No, sir.
Sir, everybody's good? Yes, Mr. Kubiak.
Why is that road going back to the new parking lot on the west side? It goes all the way from 133rd. Am I seeing that right? That road goes all the way?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, with
How
new,
wide is that?
I don't know offhand. 30
not
feet?
wide,
It's not real wide. no.
maybe.
I mean, it just, to me, it just looks like a nightmare to have 176 cars trying to get in.
Well, we asked for some clarity on that. One of our comments was, well, right now it's just an ingress egress that provides access to, I think it was this guy up here,
Wisniewski,
Smith's.
Mr. Smith.
We essentially said if it's only being used as an emergency exit lane, you can keep it gravel. If it's being used for actual exit and entrance for athletic fields, it should be curved. Well, it should be paved.
Well, I just don't see, I mean, that new 176 space parking lot, I don't see how you get in and out.
Well, there's a roadway on the east side of athletic fields. So if you look behind you, it's right here. It'd be down their existing west line.
Yeah, I see that on the print. That's why I was asking how wide that was.
Oh, that one. I
That's
thought you were
the one
talking
you're
about
asking
the,
about? Oh, I didn't realize.
I thought you were talking about the existing
Yeah,
one.
I thought you were talking about the existing one.
Oh,
also.
no, new one. Between
Yeah.
the football practice field and then the existing.
Was it 25 feet?
Yeah, probably. I think it's
I
at
think
least
it's-
25.
I think it's 25 feet. 2 lane.
So how many discharge points are there going to be for this property when this is done?
Well, we recommended that be a right in, right out. Because the third lane, the suicide lane on 133rd, actually at that point is a dedicated left onto industrial. So versus that turning it into a nightmare, people trying to left in, we recommended it be a right in, right out.
Okay, but that's not my question. We have an opening by the library,
They will have four, I
Four.
believe.
4.
There will be 4 exits, yes.
2, 3, where's the 4?
There's the library dedicated one. There's one near tennis courts. There's 2 under their main parking lot, and then you'll have the new one a little west of there.
Right.
So there's your current 4. And then, yeah, we'll have a stoplight there in the summer at night, or at King, sorry.
So is that stoplight at King going to be controlled by the school for?
It
for
is
the
my
time
understanding,
of exit, or how's this going to work? Because there's already issues with
so
departure time.
initially, when there was a 4th leg of the intersection design, they were going to have control, or at least access to the control box to basically be able to control it during heavy traffic events.
That's
Athletic
what
fields.
I've been hearing.
But now that there's no actual access coming off the intersection, it's still going to be up to the town if they can give them access to the box. I imagine they will have access to it during heavy events, but that's not my call.
Well, we've talked about the middle school with Mr. Tringa and how there's so much more roadway on the property that we shouldn't have any problems on 141st. We're going to let twice as many cars out of there at one time than we do now. Does anybody have an impact idea on that? Because I know what it's like sometimes, and then throw a train in there.
Well, not to get into the weeds too much, but the original application and the original design included an entrance into the school at that future light.
Right.
The school
I remember that.
The school requested it be taken out. And that's really all I can tell you. I mean, part of the reason for a recommended right in, right out is to control it a little bit better so you're not, turning across and stacking up that bad. But yes, during athletic events, it's going to be a heavy traffic area. There's not a lot you can do to avoid it. It's my understanding that VIPS and the police department helps out to guide some of the traffic during those events, but there's not much else you could do.
I'm thinking of the daily.
Yeah, I mean, well,
Whereas
with the controlled intersection there and it only being a 3-way, you're not going to put another controlled intersection at any of the other ones because it'd be too close. So, I mean, it was the school that took that leg out.
So the existing in and outs,
They would remain. I mean, as part of that fourth leg, they were going to eliminate the middle entrance point into their main parking lot. That was the juxt of that plan. So they would gain it. They would have gained an entrance here, and they would have closed this one off. But that's not how it's currently designed or going to be
So how
constructed.
smart is it to throw that fourth entrance along the practice fields out on 133rd?
well, I'm trying to wrap my head around this and to use the traffic light to rush everybody out of the school as fast as you can. Doesn't do anything for anybody. It just creates another issue. So as Tim said, now we're getting out again, another spot. And I get the right in, right out stuff. I get it. I run into problems at the edge of the pond because the buses want to turn in and go north into that west entrance. They're not even in the turning lane, and they're stopping in to turn left. That's been a problem for me on a couple of occasions. So I don't know. I got mixed emotions about this.
I mean, if you look at it from a practice field standpoint, and I don't know that the whole sense of it is that the parking lot's gonna be for the nighttime games, basically, and there's not gonna be people practicing on the practice fields while that's being used, or what the logic is, but there is an entrance into that rest of the school parking lot there.
Yes.
Area. I mean, just kind of looking at the picture, it looks like you take the little yellow brick road down to the back of nowhere, and then you're kind of trapped back there to.
Well, see, in all this traffic stuff was discussed a long, long time ago. That's why Wildwood was talked about.
Right.
But nobody wants 400 cars through their neighborhood twice a day, or 600 cars, or however many there are.
I thought it was discussed back then to just have like those Friday nights or whatever time. Where
Yeah.
we open up, but
So Wisniewski's driveway is part of the school's property?
Yes. Yeah, they have.
And you said it would only be used for emergencies.
That was a clarification we were asking, but I think that's the intent. Is that not correct, Don?
There's a gate there.
Okay.
It's hard to see on this drawing.
Well, there'll be a
but
gate between, oh, I see what you're saying.
there's a proposed gate and.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it done.
Yeah.
I see it.
So basically,
But again, that
was-
is, as Don said, that is part of the school property.
there's a deeded, I think, 30-foot ingress egress.
Correct.
Easement over it.
Mr. Foreman, you have any thoughts?
I was confused a little bit. So the Wisniewski's driveway will remain gravel, we're saying, but yet the school owns it. And then the other road, it does seem very narrow. You know, the new asphalt entry, is that going to be a one-way going north, or will it be bi-directional?
It's a two-way street, John. It's a 25-foot road.
Okay, is that wide enough for two cars, Don?
Yeah,
Okay,
we really expect 12-foot minimum.
yeah, okay.
And that's where you're requesting the right in, right out.
Yes,
Yes.
and you have a gate shown for that as
There's
well.
a gate on there also. Correct.
Is the anticipation that will only be open during game days and whatnot, or
I
they don't
can't
really know
answer that,
yet?
but I would assume, yes.
Because the rest of the roadway around the field house will remain.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, they have gates coming off the new entrance. If you see, basically you see a 31, those are gates.
Mhm.
Yep, got it.
Right, there's the small entrance from the behind the school over to this road. There's a gate there also, as Don mentioned.
Okay,
Hey, I did have one other question, Jerry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
The parking lot, it does not go all the way to the north. Don, are you saying at one point in time it did go farther north?
The original submittal in 2016 showed it extending further to the north, another 100 spaces. I don't think that submittal ever showed a roadway going up to Wildwood though. I don't think.
It did not.
Yeah.
But I think it was utilizing the Wisniewski Drive to exit.
No, it was the same as this one. It
I
had a
think it's
gate.
the same plan.
Same
Yeah.
plan.
There was another way in and out.
Will the remaining spot that is north of those parking spots be graded and grassed so that people can park on it as overflow?
Yes.
Okay.
That will be grass.
Grass.
Okay. Bob, you have any immediate thoughts?
No.
Okay. Mr. Sharp.
Good, Jerry.
No.
John, Chuck, Heather? Okay. All right. Well, this is, we don't have to vote on this, right?
You do.
We do have to vote on this.
You're okay with everything?
The only real caveat of approval is since they're doing that entrance, it's public improvements. They need to move a light pole that's in the way of that entrance. And they would be required to post a letter of credit. We don't know what that number is yet. And there has to be a contingency of your,
Then it seems like the special meeting may be time for that.
Time for this, and we get that number?
yeah. I mean, like I said, a lot of the actual comments are pretty minor. So 2 weeks, I'm pretty confident we can get through it.
Okay.
Hey, Don, would you be against having a contingent and making this thing be taken care of tonight?
I mean, considering we literally just submitted our letter yesterday, I feel not too great about it. But
Okay.
you're privy.
Fair enough.
I guess my thought is I don't know what happened with the whole light stoplight deal with the school. I have no idea what's going on with all that. I know there's a lot of back and forth, but to me, I mean, we're adding another 200 and something parking spaces, another entrance out on 133rd, and not. I mean, we have the golden opportunity here to utilize that traffic signal for allowing all those cars in and out of the school, and we're putting a third entrance and exit away from the stoplight to come down the, you know, I mean, I know it's at night and I know it's at the beginning, but I have no idea what the reasoning for not wanting to go to that was. There could be a good one that I'm not aware of. But just looking at this from my standpoint though is, I mean, we're gonna add that traffic and not be utilizing, we're adding a signal there to help with traffic control, and we're really not capitalizing on the biggest reason to have a traffic light in the school. So it just seems
Well, that's,
I mean, if my kid was driving, a 16-year-old kid going to, you know, learning to drive and starting to drive, I would surely be making sure that they were entering and exiting that school at that traffic signal for safety reasons. I mean, it seems to make all the sense in the world to me. I don't know.
Not having that as an option any longer. I guess the point of the recommendation, the right in, right out, is to try to control that as best you can. All the other ones are full on. You can go anywhere you want. You can go left or right, in whenever you want.
Adding that fourth one to the mix, is that a wise idea?
I mean, anybody exiting is going away from the light. They'd be right only. They don't have to go
You go
westbound.
away from the light, and
Coming in, you're controlled by the light.
Or you
And
just
it's-
funnel the rest of that traffic through the existing 3 exits instead of creating a fourth one. I mean, I don't know.
Getting back to that new parking lot would be kind of circuitous. Kind of a pain in the butt. 'Cause it's kind of off by itself.
No matter what the situation where it's located.
Yeah.
We can't change that light thing now because that's already being processed through NERC.
Yeah, it's not
Bob, there are three contributors to that light, correct? Summer Winds and 2. Summer Winds and who?
just the school and the town.
Yeah, I think what it was is the cars pulling in there would have completely been a log jam. So we eliminated the entry and exit with the light with automobiles. However, it's a main crosswalk for the students. And so that was the advantage for the school itself. and the remaining asset was, or benefit was, people in the new subdivision across the street being able to utilize that in a safe fashion in the morning and or right after school. And then in addition, the police department could control it, or the school could control it when things are really busy. But you bring up a good point, Tim. And like Bob says, this project's already kicked off. It went through the RDC and NERC, and grants were awarded. I'm 99% sure. So it's not going to happen now.
Well, the light, again, town is paying for part of it, and Summer Winds, the developer's paying for part of it.
School in the town.
School in the town are paying for a light that the school's not going to use.
Well, like John said, it will be a benefit to actually have pedestrian signalized there, because there is no signalized crossing unless you go to Parish or all the way to 41. So that's their benefit. But, I mean, the light's also a long-term improvement, because King Street will be completely a through street once Centennial Villas, Beacon West is done constructing.
Is there any advantage to improving Wisniewski Drive and going in and out of there? You're closer to the tracks.
I mean, making that your priority access point?
Well, I'm just trying to.
I don't think you need both. That's kind of what I
don't think we need both either, and that's what I'm asking. What your immediate thoughts were on this? Because the traffic is backed up all the way to 41 when there's a red light. It's
yeah.
I guess the more roads there are for them to sit on, just like the middle school,
either way,
the more chances they get.
It would be a right in, right out, regardless, due to the proximity to the railroad, because you don't want people backing up trying to turn a left into it, backing up on the tracks. So regardless of where it's at, it's got to be right in, right out. It is helpful to push another end, say call it your fifth entrance, away from your other one, space them out a little bit better. I mean, there's probably pros and cons to both. I don't know if the residents up there would appreciate a whole crap ton of traffic coming up towards them during athletic games, because they would have a whole lot of lights in their front yard that they don't have now.
Yeah, no, I got you.
So thinking about the singular residential owner up there, that would not be a good thing for him.
So you'll have, again, and I just kind of thought of this. The issue with the traffic on departures is all the other traffic stopped, and all the cars are waved out on or piled out onto the road. And then whatever happens, happens. That's a problem.
But you're talking about when
school's out.
When it's police control?
No, school's out.
Yeah.
When school's out, the cars are just fill the road.
Yeah.
And then it creates problems.
Mm-hmm.
That same thing will continue to happen. I mean, that's the plan, right?
Yeah.
Is that the plan?
As far as the school is concerned?
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm thinking what you're thinking, Tim, but I mean, ultimately the traffic problem is created by the way the traffic is managed.
Yeah, for an unsignalized intersection, yes. I mean, are you asking for another light? Or are you just
I'm just trying to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out a process, because with more entrances, the ability to just put more cars on the road than already get put on there, because all the other traffic stops. We fill the road, the signaling people, all the cars come out. They fill the road. Now you can get more cars even out on the road at once, which is creating even a bigger problem than we see now.
And you can devil's advocate too. You say you're spreading it out, might help. I mean, the finite limit of your cars does not change.
But you only get to the stop, you only get to 41, and you only get down to 133rd.
Yeah.
Bring all those cars out of that school and fill that whole stretch of road.
But I would argue this entrance, making it right in, right out, does not change that scenario for the better or the worse.
No, but being able to wave more cars out onto the road does. Because now you can bring more of them out there faster.
But you're gonna have that we wanted to designate a certain location for a crosswalk.
I understand.
And that's what that light is supposed to do. So there will be things there that they can hit the button and walk across the street.
Yeah.
And so the traffic will be backed up while people are crossing the street.
Yeah. I understand. Okay.
My only last question was, Jerry, is
Sure.
Is there going to be when there's a right in and right out to the east of the football practice field, will there be a turn lane off of 133rd?
No. I mean, that dedication, there shouldn't be any huge issue, I don't think.
Okay.
So Don, the new, let me rephrase this. The new road that's coming out next to the retention pond and the football practice field, you're only gonna be able to turn right onto that road, so you're westbound.
Yep.
And you're gonna be able to turn westbound to come out of that road.
Yeah.
No, when the game is over.
That too.
I mean, I think that's the only thing that we, I know that there's a gate there, so I'm assuming that what you're talking about in the school days and all
Yeah.
that, there's not gonna be anybody able to-
Are all the entrances gonna be right in and right out? You can't do that because you'll have everybody,
Yeah.
everybody will be everywhere.
I mean, you can, maybe it's prudent to ask the school about what their operation thoughts are on those gates. Will they only be open during, night football games? Will they open for school? Is this parking lot going to be accessed by students during the day? It may not be a bad thing to have that information.
I would almost guarantee it's going to be always closed, guys, unless there's a football game, because if there's kids at football practice or PE, whether it's junior high, I'm sorry, whether it's high school, freshman or JV or varsity, you don't want cars entering and exiting while the kids are walking from the field house. So I can't imagine them letting that road ever being open unless it's after a football game or before.
I don't want to necessarily speak for the school corporation's intent on that, but
Right.
Right now that parking lot that's being built all the way to the north, if you were to go to a football game now where that parking lot's not there, patrons park on the south side of the building or on the north side at whatever parking's kind of where the transportation center is at right now, which is limited.
I've been there, I get it.
So as far as the amount of cars, like on a school day, that shouldn't really change. I mean, as far as what's coming in and out, if there's 300 cars now, it's not going to double. It should stay around that amount. And then I believe that the school corporation is going to keep that closed during the day. And then basically everything, all the new improvements to the west will be specifically dedicated for the athletic events. And on a school day, a kid's not going to park at that north parking lot. They're going to park where they're parking right now.
So Don, with Wisniewski's driveway, that's a use agreement with school and all the property owners?
It's an ingress egress easement to the northern property owners. I haven't read the actual language
So
of it.
who maintains it?
School.
Even though it's just for emergencies?
Yes. I think the only people that access right now is the homeowner to the north. I think it's only maybe it's two.
Right.
Two. Sorry.
That gravel road probably should have a coat of asphalt put on it.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking also, John, because once it starts being used, it's a little bit, sometimes it gets used a lot. So. All right, does any commissioners have anything? Any questions?
No.
Okay.
I would recommend if that is your guidance, you state it now. You
It
want
what?
that paved, that would make that note now, so they can make changes to the drawing. It would still be privately maintained. Would not be a public road.
So it doesn't need the public road improvements.
No, I would see no need to curb it.
Yeah, I would think just asphalt.
But if you want them to do that, I would make that clear now.
Yeah. All right, does anybody have any thoughts on making this clear or not making this clear?
It's in the heart of town. It should be asphalt.
I agree, it would be nicer if it was
Yeah.
asphalt.
John and I don't often agree. But I
Better
kind of-
take
I kind
advantage
of
of
agree
this
with
one.
him. So is
Yeah,
it- is
I
that-
agree.
No, I'm not doing that. So this is just to be a coat of blacktop, or they
I
need
mean-
binder and they need this and they need that, because that driveway's probably
I would recommend
600 feet
it's,
long.
I would recommend it be essentially modified. I imagine it's pretty rock hard right now from years and years of being drive on it. I imagine they'd probably strip off the first inch or two of it and then lay down the actual, our asphalt section, but not doing the aggregate.
Okay.
I'm sure it's pretty stabilized.
Yeah, all right. Mr. Foreman, would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, to defer along with the asphalt change, yes.
Okay. All right,
To special public meeting
to
or
the special public
Special
meeting,
public-
John?
Yeah.
Gonna move this to the special public meeting also?
He said yes.
Yes, okay, I didn't hear.
Yes.
Okay. And if you have any clarification about the protocol for traffic flow, you can enlighten us at all with anything, that'd be great too. We have a motion by Mr. Foreman to defer this to the next, in 2 weeks, to the work session. Do we have a second?
Special meeting.
Special meeting at the work session.
Second,
Second by Mr. Sharp. Roll call, please.
Heather Dunbar.
Yes.
Bud Becker.
Yes.
John Foreman.
Yes.
Robert Carnahan.
Yes.
Richard Clark.
yes.
Tom Cora.
Yes,
Jerry Wilson.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay. Update item, Rose Garden Estates Water Main Extension. John, can you give us a brief update on that? I saw a quick email from Neil.
We had a couple of emails go back and forth today. We're okay with the easement. I understand Neil's okay with the water -1 minor fitting change. But other than that, I think he's good with it.
Okay, this was the 545. So,
Get close.
Yeah.
okay,
But unfortunately, the 545 turned into 290. So it's not enough.
you didn't draw that up on a napkin, did you?
No.
Okay.
That formal.
Okay, are there any other update items? Anybody got on their mind? Anybody? I know we have the YMCA has withdrawn their planning commission application.
Yeah.
Everybody found out about that this morning, I think.
Yeah.
And, anything on your mind right offhand, Heather?
No,
No.
it sounds like they're still working on the fee and lieu for the sidewalk. That's kind of my thing, but
Okay. All right. Any timeline on that, you know?
We'll meet with town staff when they got time.
All right, Chuck?
Anything on
for
the
the road?
Vermillion and Moore Street?
Vermillion and more, the Vermillion S curve, there's a temporary fix and a permanent fix, is that?
We're working on seeing what's in there for the drain. They got it done come day and make a chance to make it back.
Okay. The picture with the fence almost on top of the manhole, was I involved in approving that?
No.
Okay,
That's actually the side yard of that guy's property, because that Morris Lane is not a road, it's an ingress
Right.
easement for that back house, so that fence was actually along the driveway. That is that man's side yard,
Except,
according to the plat.
except, the guy that lives up there said that there was a ditch there that drained the water. And we had one occasion, we had no snow or rain, and water was covering that road and came down to the bottom of the road on Pavilion, and the street department had to go out there and plow chunks of ice out of there. And then a week or so later, a mail truck coming down there slid sideways and had to get a tow truck to haul her out. Now, Chuck and I talked about trying to see if we can get this to be our road again. At one time, it was our road, and we maintained it, we plowed it and everything. But then Dave Austin told me that he discovered it wasn't our legal road, that our legal road was on the other side of it,
Well,
which has never been developed.
I guess that my question still remains, I mean, there's got to be a sanitary sewer easement up there, correct? That's what the manhole is? Next to the fence?
Drain somebody put in. There's some kind of storm drain in there. I don't believe there's anything
So,
other than a service road.
so there's no easement for that manhole, that structure there.
Well, it's in the road right there.
Yeah, but there isn't.
No, that's on Moore Street.
No, there's a manhole, there's a sealed manhole lid next to the fence on the gravel road,
All the way up to the.
Yep, halfway where the guy's fence
where
is,
the guy's fence is.
before his pole barn.
The sewer easement doesn't show on the
I
GIS.
know we've had discussion about taking some of these roads that aren't dedicated roads and turn them into roads.
Yeah.
I would like to see some way we could make that decision to take that road over and not require anybody to do any road construction and just use it as ours. And
You see, when you
Well, that-
subdivided that lot, that road is on his property, which is an ingress egress easement there.
That McDaniel one?
And I believe that's an ingress egress utility easement for the sewer. That's it.
Because before he built that, he showed me pictures, there was a ditch on both sides of that drive. And then he showed me a picture right after the guy built the fence, there was a ditch right there. It hit the fence and then it cuts over in the drive.
And that's why we're getting water coming down the Pavilion and having all these problems.
Yeah.
Because
His
there's
hose
nowhere
broke.
for that water to drain.
His water hose broke.
So we're supposed to
He
get a
left it on.
survey of this area.
Okay.
Supposed to get it today, we didn't, for the entire curve. So once we get that,
What it is to put a new manhole in the front of the McDaniel property to catch that water taken in the culvert to the big ditch across. So
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen. To make the issue of the old ditch and the water, I mean, the water needs to get from the west side of the road,
The water needs to stay in the ditch.
needs to stay, go in
That's
the
ditch
manhole
line.
and go through the culvert, which they attempted to do years ago, but that's been filled with stone, and that's why it's big of an issue with this.
Well,
And then
Bob,
we got a gas pipe that runs in that other ditch, and it's gonna come out and just threw some sand over the top of it.
you know, Bob, I understand the taking some of these roads back to have some control over them. But there are some street signs that are on private roads. So I certainly want to be careful what we're taking.
Well, we have a street sign there for that non-existing road because the fire department needs to have that there because when that house caught on fire, they couldn't find a place.
Well, I understand. I also know there's a street sign 131st.
Are we gonna
That's
pave
not,
part of
that's
it?
not, that's not 131st. It's a private
How do we
road.
keep the manhole from getting the drain, getting filled with stone again?
The manhole's not gonna be in the gravel, it's gonna be over into the side yard.
And this is, and this, what you're talking about is the short-term fix.
Correct, they're working on getting a survey to keep that whole hill up there, there's way more
yeah,
issues than the bottom of the hill.
yeah, that entire curve is an issue.
So the whole thing is being looked at. Okay, all right. You like some of that, Chuck? Sure. Okay. Mr. Kapora?
They know.
Nothing.
It really doesn't bother.
Okay.
That's what we're good at, just put band-aids on everything.
Yeah, I have, I really have nothing either. Mr. Sharp,
No, I'm good.
nothing, anything? Okay.
Public
Mr.
comment?
Everly, anything at all? Okay, Mr. Carnahan, everybody's good?
Do you public
All right.
comment? Do you do public comment?
Not yet. Thanks for the reminder. Is there any public comment about anything we talked about this evening or anything else on your mind? Anyone?
I have something else.
Sure.
Going to pass out some drawings that are for a second project that
The second project that's happening at the high school.
Oh, okay.
You?
Sure.
The first project was in regards to the improvements to the west, the sidewalk behind the school, and the improvements to the east of the parking lot. This is a second project that the high school would like to entertain, which is in the front of the building, adding 2 additions. The first sheet shows what is being proposed. In addition to the parking lot, the 2 buildings, some minor modifications to some sidewalks, they also would like to install artificial turf on the football field. So if you go to the colorized drawings, these are the renderings that Gibraltar has put together of what the new entrance would look like. The first 3. The 4th and 5th pages represent the building that is on the east side of the school, shown on the front drawing and labeled just as an addition. That is the Early Childhood Center. And then the very last drawing shows in red and in kind of a burnt orange the additions that are going to be added, what the various rooms would be within those additions. With that, we are in the preliminary stages. I had some brief discussion with Mr. Oliphant this morning, or this evening before the meeting. And the drainage, believe it or not, for this entire front portion of the high school all drains west into the existing pond that is on the other side of the large parking lot. The addition, or the Early Childhood Center area, that is currently grass, and that will drain to the existing detention pond that is in front of the tennis courts. So with that being said, I'd entertain any questions that you might have on this. I know it's preliminary, but I wanted to bring it to your attention.
I guess, just off the top of my head, are we, minus the football field, I guess, are we getting into lot coverage trouble here? Just kind of shooting from the hip.
You have to look at the current zoning and check that out. My concern is the parking lot's proximity to the right of way. It's likely in the setback.
Yeah, that's.
Well, the color drawing, the last page, almost looks like the green space could be squeezed in a little bit. Just green space with the trees.
Yeah. It's tight. I mean, I'm pretty much guaranteed the parking room's in the front setback by quite a bit.
Right. Mr. Turinga, this Early Childhood Learning Center, this is going to be operated by the school?
I believe so. What do you mean by in the setback? You mean within the building line?
Yes. Parking is my understanding
It
is not
would
allowed.
definitely be within the building.
Yeah. You need a variance then for that.
What about the 40-foot setback?
No, well, the building, yeah, the building looks like it's 113 feet off the right of way.
It is.
Yeah, that's plenty. I mean, that entire first row of parking and part of the drive aisles in it, so.
Why could the whole parking lot not be moved north? Although it's going to catch the corner of that other building.
They get messy. I don't know if they're, because then your drive aisle's pretty much fixed on the left to go in the existing parking lot. And it looks
Yes,
like
but that's lined up with the drive aisle that's running next to the building now.
yeah. But
So-
the drive aisle is, 30-ish feet, which is close to what the setback likely is. The parking lot, the parking stalls in the south are, 20 feet deep and a couple feet off the right of way.
Right.
So the east end of that building would be future classrooms.
Yes.
That's why. Go ahead, John.
Weren't they going to build an extra tennis court or two to be able to house sectionals?
No.
Please,
The lady.
oh, you say no. Okay. Okay, we're getting some representatives from the school are here, John, and they are indicating that that is not the case.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I think when we built those 9 tennis courts, we didn't realize you need 1 or 2 more in order to host a sectional. So we have the best tennis courts in our community, or Lake County probably, and we can't really host a sectional.
And John, I got a copy of this that he just presented, and I'm gonna put it in your box.
Yeah, Heather texted me a photo. I've got it. But yeah, thank you, Bob.
So what on this building is pretty much the big ever have an exit on into a stoplight area.
No, that actually is building right now. It's being demoed and then rebuilt. The building exists there now.
No, Tim means the long section of building that would line up with King Street, I think is what Tim's talking about.
No, they're never connecting into that. Because we no longer have cantilever arms now. Now they're actual poles along that line now for the King Street direction.
So what does this variance entail? You're saying that would be something that could be granted by the plan commission, or is that something that we have to
Be
go to the
BVA.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
it's
trying to, what do
60
we,
feet off the right of way.
yeah, but what are we gaining by
95
moving the
feet.
parking south? I'm missing something here.
They just have to do that, it looks like.
What is being gained? Well, what they want to do is they want to create, if you can look at the pictures, they want to create a plaza area in front of the entrance. So that's the concrete shown on the first colorized drawing, and I believe probably the second.
I got you.
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know if that's a good idea. You're gonna be so close to the right of way, and you're gonna be, that's slightly higher. You're gonna have headlights potentially shining right on 133rd of cars passing by.
But the plaza area that I'm looking at that you're referring to, Mr. Turinga, could be shortened from the east to the west, and the parking lot could almost remain back closer to the building to keep it away from 133rd. Right.
Would the variance be required to have the drive aisle inside there, or just the parking?
That's a good question.
Because the drive aisle for the parking lot currently exists.
Currently is.
40 foot.
I think that would be a much easier sell. I wouldn't be comfortable with parking that close, being directed right at a major roadway. I mean, because you're talking,
Perhaps angle parking, enter from the east, exit from the west. I don't know.
doesn't really fix this problem. It'd still be, angle parking still 20 feet deep. But you'd still have the same limits in your parking lot. You're just redirecting your traffic one direction, and you lose probably 2 spots by doing that. I'm not. I mean, how needed are those 26 spots?
Don, what's your argument? That it's the parking spots are too close to the main road?
Yes, I mean, currently they're in the front yard setback, which is at least 30 feet, if not more. And they're, I don't know, not even 10 feet off the sidewalk in some locations. And they're pointing right at 133rd. And that property is up a little bit, so they could be shining right into people's drivers' eyes driving by.
Really? I mean, Lake Central's high school has parking right next to 41.
They're lower.
Right?
They're lower. They're lower. And they're below.
Yeah, I see. Interesting.
Mr. Tringa, the addition, where it shows the addition on the first page, that it's straight west of the 3 center tennis courts. That's just building addition. The early learning center is going to be out front by this parking lot that we're talking about, correct?
Gonna be up in this area. There. This grassed area up here, west of the courts.
Well, it's gonna, okay, it is gonna be in there.
Yeah, that
It'll
is
be in
the
this
early
little-
childhood center.
Okay.
Yeah. That grassed area. There.
What is that for, by the way? I mean, usually that's at the daycare. What's the
Well, that's why I was
early
asking if this is gonna be run by the school or if it's a private
childhood?
entity.
Why would they need it? I mean, they don't need it, right?
That's some kind of business plan that we're not privy to right now.
Like in early childhood care, that's a program being implemented in several schools. It's going to be run. It's not a daycare. It's a preschool program. It's not a daycare. It's not a babysit.
It's a preschool? At the high school?
Right.
Never heard of that.
Who's running it?
The school corporation.
The school corporation is running it. It's not being leased to a private entity.
I mean, I don't know all the details as far as contractual.
So now we're back to more traffic too, right?
Yep, that would invite more traffic, wouldn't it? I tried to forget about that already. Thanks.
Yeah, I think there's initiatives with the Department of Education for expanding early childhood education. So that's probably what this has to do with.
Correct.
So what I'm understanding is the recommendation is to go back and basically tell them that we'd like to move that parking away from the roadway. Try and stay out of the setback, whatever the setback may be along the road there.
I think it's at least 30 feet, I would imagine.
Problem is that I don't know that it's even shown on the final plat.
Well, we don't have 30 foot on the other parking lot, Don. We don't have 30 feet on the other parking lot. I don't think the setback's a problem. If you think the lighting's an issue, maybe we have to put up some trees or bushes to block the light.
Oh, no, there's the right light fixtures are out there, John.
I mean, the parking stalls to the right of way are about 50 feet. They're current.
I guess the last picture here shows the play area for the early learning center. That's what is shoving this parking lot south.
No,
It's nowhere near.
no, that doesn't. affect
That's
it
up
at all.
here.
That's up there. That's up there.
Right, then what?
That's up in here.
It's also shown, it's depicted on the first drawing. We're right below addition, preschool play.
What is this? What is this thing here?
That's it. Got nothing to say, I think. That would be south of it, that's in this area. Sure. Off the existing building, up in here.
And I might add that the floor plan, which is the last page, there was originally the idea that they wanted to straighten out that curved road on the west side. They don't want to do that anymore. They want to leave the curved road exactly where it is. So it depicts future classrooms. That may be something that come back in the future. I think there's classrooms on the table anymore.
Okay. Well, Mr. Tring, I again appreciate your detail.
This
Like-
is
We
this
like
is
nice
something
pictures.
we will be coming in February with us.
Want to be on the study session, the work session agenda in February, Don? With this item?
Yeah, we already submitted the application.
You did.
Submitted the application. Items will be coming in.
There any other public comment? Anyone? Okay. Thanks, Mr. Foreman, for zooming in.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good night. Have a good week.
You also.
We'll call this meeting adjourned. Adjourned.